Hey guys, Walls here, and today we begin our adventure in diagramming sentences. Now, we're going to kind of summarize all of the DGP tasks. We're going to focus on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays specifically because Thursdays is kind of done for us here. But then my goal here is that you can diagram sentences with phrases and then diagram sentences with multiple clauses proficiently. So this handout has examples. Notice here it gives us what the focus is for each example. Like this one focuses on prepositional phrases. This one focuses on infinitive phrases. This one focuses on an infinitive phrase used as a noun. Like there's a whole bunch of different kinds. And that's why we're going to do the DGP with these so that we can kind of see, okay, well, I see I have a prepositional phrase here. So what does my diagram need to look like? Now, let's go to the examples here. Number one says, Gary, the store manager, hired me yesterday afternoon. Now, we need to do some DGP on this one, all right? Let's figure out what our nouns are, what parts of speech we're dealing with. So follow along with me or pause it here and do the work on your own, and then you can fact check based upon my answers. So, oh yeah, also, you can do this DGP stuff on the handout, or you can do it on a separate sheet of paper, but I do want to see you work out Mondays and Tuesdays DGP with each of these sentences as we go through. All right, so Gary, the store manager, hired me yesterday afternoon. Well, I know Gary is a proper noun. The is an article. Store here sounds like a noun, but it's actually an adjective because it modifies the word manager. Hired is an action verb. Me is a first person objective pronoun. Do that over here. All right, now yesterday afternoon. Yesterday sounds like a noun, right? Like yesterday. You can refer to it like yesterday was good. You could say that. But in this case, it tells me when I was hired or he was hired, or I guess it would be I because of me. So it's actually an adverb. On the same note, afternoon, we typically think of as a noun, but in this case, it tells me more about when. I was hired yesterday afternoon. So that too is going to be an adverb. Now, I've identified the parts of speech. That helps me with my diagram because I know that nouns go on flat lines and adjectives and adverbs go underneath the words that they modify. So let's go ahead and draw this. Now, I know that I need a subject here. I need a verb here. So let's go back through. Make sure you've got your parts of speech here. I'm going to go back through and let's find our subjects. Let's do Tuesday's DGP. All right, so the subject is going to be Gary. And what did Gary do? Gary hired. So I'm going to write, let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to put Gary over here and hired right here. Now, what did Gary hire? Gary hired me. So me is my direct object, and that makes this verb transitive. Gary hired me. Now, direct objects go here. So Gary hired me. So notice, like this S, the V, the DO. This is every single sentence with a direct object. Subject, verb, direct object. Now, if you have a linking verb here and you have a predicate adjective, you would have a slanty line right there. That's the only difference. Okay, now, does anything modify Gary? I see that I have this phrase here, the store manager. That is called an appositive phrase, and my example for that is right here. Notice in this sentence it says, New York City, the Big Apple, has a very large population. The Big Apple tells me, renames New York City. So it goes in parentheses right next to the word it names, and this word right here modifies Big Apple. So an appositive is a word that renames the subject of the sentence, or word or phrase, rather, I should say, and it gets put on the same line, and anything that modifies it goes underneath it. So let's go back to our example here, zoom in and out like a crazy person. All right, so what did we say the was? That's an article. And what did we say store was? We said that was an adjective. Those don't go on flat lines, but manager, being a noun, goes next to Gary. And the store modifies manager. Gary, the store manager, hired me. Okay, now, I'll look back at Mondays. What did we say yesterday afternoon were? We said they were adverbs. They modify hired. So this is kind of wonky, but I'm going to put afternoon right there. And yesterday further modifies afternoon, so it goes right there. All right, let's do number 2. Scooch you over here. Okay, angry citizens gathered outside the courthouse. Let's do Monday's DGP. Pause it here and work ahead or follow along. All right, angry citizens gathered outside the courthouse. Citizens is a noun, so that makes angry an adjective because it modifies citizens. Gathered is what they were doing, so that's my action verb. Outside the courthouse. Now, outside, again, we typically think of as it can be a noun. Like, trying to think of how I can use that as a noun. Outside is cool. There we go. There we go. But in this case, it's actually a preposition. And so I need to put I guess I need to do this first. So preposition, this is an article, and this is a noun. Now for Tuesday's DGP, I know my subject is going to be citizens. What did they do? They gathered. Now, I need to determine if there's a direct object in the sentence or not. Where did they gather sticks and stones? Did they gather pitchforks? No, it doesn't say they gathered anything. It only tells me where they gathered. So this is an intransitive verb. They gathered outside the courthouse. This is my prep phrase. And it modifies gathered. It tells me where they gathered. So it is going to be an adverb prep phrase. Now, let's go back to our example here on page 1. This is how we do prepositional phrases right there. Prepositional phrases are always on a slanty, flat line. The preposition goes on the flat line or on the slanty line. The object of the preposition goes on the flat line. And these are modifiers. Modifiers go underneath the word they modify. So I need to do my diagram. I know I'm going to have my subject and my verb, and it's intransitive, so I don't have a direct object. So citizens gathered. Okay, that's it. That's the basic unit meaning of the sentence. So citizens gathered. Where did they gather, or what kind of citizens are we talking about? We're talking about angry citizens. And where did they gather? They gathered outside the courthouse. So this is a prepositional phrase. I need to draw my slanty line, draw my flat line. My preposition outside is going to go on the slanty line, and courthouse will go on the flat line because that is the noun in the phrase, and the modifies courthouse. All right, party people, those are the examples we worked through together. You guys need to do number 3 and number 7 on your own. Get those diagrammed. Let me see that you've done Mondays and Tuesdays DGP on those sentences. I need to know that you know the parts of speech, and I need to know that you know the subjects and verbs and any objects that are involved, and diagram those sentences, okay? And you can take a picture of this, scan it as a PDF, get it back to me, attached to this assignment. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Good luck, guys.